All right, at least 17 children have lost their lives after consuming contaminated cough syrup. Many are battling for their life, and several others who had consumed this fatal syrup are now being tested. Laboratory test of this toxic syrup confirmed contamination with diethylene glycol, a toxic industrial solvent, at 48.6%. In the wake of multiple children dying linking to this toxic cough syrups, the Union Health Ministry has now convened a crucial meeting with state health secretaries and drug controllers from across India. Apart from this, in a major development, authorities have arrested Dr. Praveen Soni, the doctor who prescribed the medicine. Just hours after his arrest, Dr. Praveen Soni, the pediatrician posted at Civil Hospital Parasia in Chindwara, was suspended by Madhya Pradesh authorities too, as Soni was found engaged in private practice, during which he prescribed medicines to infants brought to him for treatment. Police have also registered an FIR against Shrisen Pharmaceutical Company, which manufactured the syrup. Meanwhile, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu and Kerala have banned the sale and distribution of the cough syrup Coldriff as of October the 5th. The Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, the CDSCO, is set to take strict action against Shrisen Pharmaceuticals. The question that comes up is, if the cough syrup is really contaminated, who is going to take the responsibility for the deaths of those innocent lives that have been lost, and whose negligence can be pointed out here, and accountability. Padma Shri Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairman of Nephron Clinic, with us on the broadcast. Dr. P.S. Venkatesh Rao, Consultant Surgeon, Manipal Hospital. Dr. Avneet Kaur, Pediatrics and Neonatology expert, also with us on the program. Mr. Bipin Sharma, Political Analyst, joins me in the studio right here. Dr. Bagai, I will begin with you. Dr. Bagai, first of all, how is this possible? 21st century. It's not rocket science to make a cough syrup. How could somebody do this unless they really wanted or had the intention of harming or saving money to the extent that they really don't care what they're putting out there?
Good evening. Again, it's extremely unfortunate, and my prayers for the families who've lost their small infants and children. This is a failure of maintaining rules and regulations. Perhaps there has been no mandatory quality checks or indeed quality controls. There has been no testing batch to batch, sample by sample. And once these contaminated syrups enter the market, it's a bushfire. Now, there are two parts to this discussion. One is very clearly that the cough syrups in any age group in children should be used with utmost caution. It's not that the cough syrups are not being used. They are being used, but the dose has to be calculated. The indications have to be very, very strictly adhered to, and it is measured in terms of milligram per kilogram per day. The combination cough syrups, they become respiratory depressants and they can do more harm than good. The second point is, once you are giving a contaminated content of a cough syrup, then there is no catching anyone. This diethylene glycol or ethylene glycol is a colorless, odorless, viscid contaminant. It's an adulteration, and it's very quickly absorbed within 30 minutes into the bloodstream from the stomach and intestines. Once it enters into systemic circulation, it causes respiratory depression, it causes neurological complications, and ultimately this is metabolized in the liver to something what we call as oxalic acid. Oxalic acid deposits in the kidneys, in your tubules and your filtering part of the kidney, and the children within 24 hours go into complete kidney shutdown, what we call as AKI, or kidney failure. Once these things come in, especially in children who are malnourished or who have other comorbidities or fever or illness, it compounds the insult on the kidney, and in spite of dialysis, these children may not survive. The lethal dose and the toxic dose, the window of therapeutic comfort is extremely narrow. But the basic point is, how can we have adulterated syrups coming into the market when the same nonsense happened in 2022-23? This is a complete breakdown of system and processes. Is this murder? Is this manslaughter? This is amounting to deaths of children. Can someone pay some attention to the families who have lost these small children because of sheer negligence? Under the Indian law of BNS, under the required sections, what I was reading was it amounts to punishment up to life imprisonment. That's what should be meted out to this company owner.
Dr. Avneet Kaur, what are your thoughts on what's happened over here? who's supposed to be accountable for this? Apart from all, the tutu meme between politicians and this administration blaming the other, how is this pharmaceutical company allowed to function if this is what their intention was? Aren't there checks and balances, and frequent visits, by administrative authorities to, undertake inspections and screenings if norms are being followed? I guess not.
I think I think it's a dual problem. First, I think there are two things which need to be sorted. One is at the manufacturer and the stakeholders end, and second at the one who is dispensing it. I think dual issues needs to be sorted. So first, the government regulatory authorities needs to take thing into their control that these kinds of drugs, especially dextromethorphan, codeine, folcodeine, these are not the drugs which are to be used in pediatric populations. So, and if required also, it should be under the authoritative signatory authorities who are supposed to use it, like now how the narcotics rules have come into place and they are being distributed. Second thing is that the awareness has to come amongst the pediatrician that less than 5 years, these fixed drug combination, as Dr. Bagai said, are again very, very deleterious for children, and they are not the choice of drugs for these children. And we all know most of the children are suffering from upper respiratory or viral flus, and they do not need medications. They need some supportive care. And if they need medications, they are the ones which they need maybe some kind of bronchodilatory drugs or maybe some kind of room humidifications or humidification of the respiratory systems. So I think 5 years and below, first the doctors need to be aware, and second the pharmaceutical companies, regulatory authorities have to prep up their socks to get these things sorted. Otherwise this is going to be a never ending saga how it is going on from years together.
Bipin, what are your thoughts here? Of course, apart from, like I said, the blame game that has started between governments and the opposition, what we are really forgetting is that this has exposed, a vital element in our medical infrastructure, or the way, medicines are procured, distributed and given to patients.
No second thought. It's a big tragedy and a big blot on the system, because right now the heads may be rolling and you can see, the authorities in action mode, but then the mood point is it too little, too late in the day? And what are the lessons that we have learned from the past tragedies, the past fatalities? So I think now, because we should bear in mind that what happened in 2022 when this cough syrup wreaked havoc in Gambia and Uzbekistan, so many precious lives were lost. Now, of course, we all know about drug abuse, the prescription drug, when these adverse reactions happen, drug abuse happens, counterfeit drugs. But then what are these authorities doing? That is, we have this very premier body, Central Drug Standard Control Organization. What is it doing? And so drug controllers and the pharma companies, the pharmacologists, so they all need to be held accountable. The heads have to roll, and some precedence has to be set, because it is now or never situation, because it sends a very wrong message on the international forum. And now, and when precious lives of children are lost, so then imagine the plight of the parents, what they have to undergo. So it's unimaginable. So now I think the time is come when stringent action needs to be taken, plus some concrete steps have to be there in place if we need to ensure that such incidents, such eventualities don't happen in the future.
That's a good point, Dr. Rao, but the question is how we can do that, and the question is also why aren't we doing that? We are talking about this today as we would have spoken about any other thing that happens in terms of people losing their lives. It's going to be forgotten, it's going to slip into oblivion, and we're going to be back to square one and pick this up again when another tragedy happened. Why aren't there enough deterrents for such companies, for such pharmaceutical companies, to fear the law if something like this happens?
Good evening to everyone. There is the law, and there is the original law for drug control was set in 1940. There were some rules and regulations later added, but in 2008 very stringent measures were added as punishment for either adulteration or substandard drugs or fake drugs. So all these types of drugs, whoever manufactures it, there are very stringent rules. The point is, like many other rules and regulations and laws in this country, they are not implemented. And who is supposed to first of all investigate this? It is the drug authorities in the states, because it is a state subject. The central government, the central regulatory authority, the drug authority, is one which checks before giving license for manufacturing to a company. But once the license is obtained, what it is doing from day to day is something that the state drug authority has to go and check. Now, every batch, you have to take a sample from every batch of every medicine manufactured by each of these companies. The problem is there are lots of companies in many of these states. There are numerous companies in different nooks and corners of the state, and the number of inspectors are too few. Many of these posts, like I have written today in the Sunday Guardian, many of these posts are lying vacant because either due to politics or due to the litigation going on about the promotion or appointment of someone. So the total number of inspectors required to go and check all these companies are very few, not enough. And that kind of thing will obviously lead to corruption. You need to have a better policing force, that is with the state drug authorities. And it's not that when there are so many deaths that you suddenly wake up one fine day and start checking and discover that there is such a high level of diethylene glycol or ethylene glycol in the children's cough syrups. And as I have written this in today's article, most of these adult cough syrups, they use glycerin, whereas in the children's cough syrup they use propylene glycol, which is slightly different from the glycerin, but it is thinner. And but glycerin is usually made from vegetable oils and biological sources, and hence there is very little risk of these diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol being found in it. Whereas with propylene glycol is made from petroleum, and there is a very high risk of it being contaminated with these two compounds.
Right,
And hence, if you are going to be using this for cough syrups, you have to be doubly sure about the safety of these things. Maybe if our drug regulatory authorities are incapable of checking this safety of this, then this diethylene propylene glycol should be banned for use in syrups. Let even the children's syrup have.
Yeah, but what does this mean, Dr. Bagai? What does this mean? How many more disasters are waiting to happen because of this kind of an expose?
I think this is a systemic breakdown of simple processes. I would like to also highlight a very important aspect of the entire chain of the supply chain of dispensing a cough syrup. One is the manufacturing, which has gone bad. The adulteration has happened, it's a contaminant. Point number two, there is very, very little awareness of the doses and the implications of using cough syrup rampantly. Third is, where are these cough syrups given from? In India, they are given by and large from pharmacies and chemists. This is again and again, I have said, this is the most unregulated and unmonitored aspect of Indian healthcare, which acts as a support pillar to us. I would urge you, Vineet, and request you, send reporters undercover to just 3 or 4 or 5 locations in Delhi or just out of Delhi. Without prescription, get it filmed, get it taped. Ask for a cough syrup for a child of 1 year or 2 year or 3 year. The chemist himself will prescribe the medicines. Ask for an antibiotic, you will get it without prescription. Ask for a painkiller or any sedative, you will get it without a prescription. None of these people maintain the records. They'll give you this syrup even without an invoice. Pay cash, take it, no documentation. This kind of Stone Age system has to stop. We need things monitored. We need things regulated. Very important is, as far as the pediatricians and the physicians are concerned, it's an alert call. Use medication safely. For parents, do not self-medicate, do not self-prescribe, don't go on WhatsApp University, don't ask your neighbors for advice. Lastly, the person concerned who's manufactured this medicine has to be made accountable.
Vipin, you wanted to come in? Go on.
I just wanted to make a brief point. You see, there is no second thought that doctors have always been hailed as angels in white robes, and their contribution, especially during the COVID period, was extraordinary, and we show to the world that how our doctors stand apart. But then my question here is to the three very eminent healthcare stalwarts, is the arrest of Dr. Praveen Soni. I mean, definitely everyone would like to know your viewpoints on this, because if he's being arrested for prescribing this particular contaminated drug, then what is the take of the medical fraternity?
Let Dr. Avneet Kaur answer that question. That's a good question. Dr. Avneet Kaur.
So I think I feel it's not just purely the responsibility of the doctor. There's so much gone in the background who is responsible for all this. But yes, as I told you, that it's a dual responsibility. As Dr. Bagai said, it's a breakdown of the system. It's not breakdown of one person who has done it. There's a contamination of the drug. There are the medications which are being dispersed over the counter without prescription. And number three, the drug which is prescribed is something which we need to withhold. So it's the system fault, not just one person who's to be blamed for it. And yes, we need to come to a common ground that we need to dispense medicine safely and we need to prescribe medicine safely. So it's not just one person fault, it's a breakdown of the system, I would say.
All right. Dr. Rao, it's the breakdown of the system, and Dr. Bagai is absolutely right. You know, you can buy any medicine you want, no matter how dangerous it is. You can buy sedatives, you can buy antibiotics, you can buy anything from a chemist, and there are no strings attached. This is not something which is prevalent in the Western world. This is not something which is prevalent in modern day society, because people can use these medicines to harm themselves and harm others.
Yes, Vinit, we have had this discussion some time back about Dolo 650.
Okay, Dr. Rao, there seems to be a problem with your network, but we've as is run out of time. Appreciate everybody joining us. Vipin, Dr. Bagai, Dr. Kaur, thank you for being here.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.